All right, you've all seen the polls here in this province showing that the CAQ, boy, have they been slipping. You would think this would be the time for the Liberal Party of Quebec to pounce. But the Liberal Party of Quebec is doing some soul-searching before it can pounce. Soul-searching, the term used by Phil Oche in the Gazette this week. I think it's so apropos for the policy search, the policy process that the party is undergoing right now. They've created 4 working groups that will roam the province in the coming weeks to meet the members of the party and look for ideas in 4 areas: economic development, improving public service, education, and the affirmation of Quebec within the Canadian Federation and the world. André Pratte's on the line, president of the Liberals Revival Committee. Monsieur Pratte, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, in life, timing is everything, they say. Okay, so let's talk about timing here, because part of me says, wait a minute, you should get a leader, then get the policy. Are you putting the cart before the horse?
No, I don't think so, and we don't think so. The reason is, a political party is made of different components, different parts. Policy is a very important part, and the policy doesn't come from the leader alone. The policy comes from the ideas of the members of the party based on our values. And that's the exercise that we've been doing for the last year, really, is first of all to reaffirm our principles and values. What does it mean to be a liberal in Quebec today? And then now we're into the policy issues. What concrete proposals can we put forward to offer Quebecers when the 2026 campaign starts? And the leader, of course, when we have a new leader, will have a lot of influence on our policy decisions. But so do the members. The members of the party are very important. We can't have a functioning political party without members who are active. So that's the process we're in now.
So I guess the concern that I would have is that perhaps you would be handcuffing the future leader in the province of the party. Right now in the polls, you're at about 4% among Francophones. And it's the current members of the party that have led you there, I would imagine, right? It's the current party that has led you to 4% with Francophones. If those are the same people coming up with the policy, won't they keep you stuck there at 4% in the polls? Couldn't a leader with fresh ideas be something to get you more support amongst Francophones?
Well, of course, a new leader is extremely important. And once the leader is chosen, is elected, we'll have a dialogue. The members of the party and the leader and his or her team will work together towards a platform for 2026. But we can't just sit on our hands and wait for the new leader to come. A political party is a live organization with people with ideas, and that's why we're touring Quebec to better understand what are the needs of Quebecers, and then come up with policy ideas which the new leader will take into consideration once he or she is selected.
Back to the timing is everything front here, right? François Legault having a terrible time in the polls. Clearly, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and the PQ have been able to pounce on that, and we see them riding high in the polls in first place. Is there any thought internally that there's a missed opportunity happening right now because the party is still with an interim leader and not a full-time, a real leader?
No, because the first thing is when we decided to have the leadership race in 2025, the situation was that we had no serious candidates for the job. So even if we had decided to have a race in early 2024, there were no names coming forward of serious candidates. People needed time to see what the party was doing and what was the state of the party before coming forward with a candidacy for the leadership. So we needed time for that, and so we still believe very strongly that 2025 is the best timing. The party, meanwhile, will not wait for the new leader to rebuild itself, rebuild its organization, rebuild its content, its policy ideas, and that's the process we're into now. Mm-hmm. And we are absolutely convinced that once the election comes, Quebecers of all backgrounds will prefer to have a party that wants to govern Quebec and address our real problems rather than having another referendum on sovereignty.
We're with André Pratte, president of the Quebec Liberal Party's Revival Committee. Monsieur Pratte, when you look at Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and his success, internally, is there anything that you're saying to yourself where you give him kudos? Like, what is he doing right that maybe the Liberal Party can make their own and learn from?
Well, there are many things. I mean, you have to give him credit for bringing in a new style of politics in Quebec. His tone is very moderate. He even agrees with the other parties sometimes, which I believe is a good thing. He's young, obviously, and people, I think, are looking for a new generation of leaders. But in the end, when you read what is behind the calm and moderate tone, his program is quite radical. I'd say he's the most radical separatist leader in Quebec's history for the Parti québécois, because he says he's going to hold a third referendum on separation, whatever happens. He's thinking of having a Quebec dollar, maybe dropping the Canadian passport. We don't know whether he wants an association with the rest of Canada if Quebec separates. So there are many issues that makes him really a radical leader rather than a moderate leader that he appears to be.
So what do you explain this chasm, this gap here? Recent polling has shown that 47% of Quebecers are on board with signing the Constitution. 47%. If you got 47%, right, you're running the table. You're at 100 seats, okay, in this province, okay? So when you look at that, 47% of Quebecers would sign the Constitution, yet you're at 4% in Francophones. What explains that huge chasm, and is this policy effort that you're doing right now all about closing that gap?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that, when you mentioned 4% support within francophones in Quebec, I don't like to make that kind of separation between francophones and anglophones and allophones. We have work to do towards all communities in Quebec. We have to increase our support in all regions of the province if we want to form a government in 2026. The second thing is, I don't think people have really looked at Mr. Plamondon's proposals. We're very far from an election. So it's a matter of image, of perception, and his image for now is positive. When we have a new leader, I think people will start listening more to what we have to say. And I'm convinced that Quebecers do not want a third referendum. They don't want to talk about national unity or separation. They want to talk about their real problems, that is inflation and government services not working efficiently.
Can you make federalism sexy again?
Well, not everyone believes that federalism is sexy, but I certainly think so. I think it's a very modern idea. Quebec today is very different from the Quebec 50 years ago. You have a lot of diversity. Young Quebecers travel all over the world to study, to work. So they're very, very open to the world. And that federalism, to me, encompasses those values. That is, how do you manage diversity while putting your efforts together, putting your energy together to solve some of the world's more complex problems. So I think federalism is a very modern idea that Quebecers, and you mentioned the poll, Quebecers believe that Canada is a good project enough so that they're willing to sign the Constitution.
Monsieur Pratte, André, it's always a pleasure. À la prochaine.
Okay, thanks very much.
That's André
Bye-bye.
Pratte, president of the Quebec Liberal Party's Revival Committee.